Hello, my name is Nicole, and we're here with our first episode of the Critter Miss podcast. I'm so freaking excited because I've just always just wanted to put my thoughts into the ether, and I feel like a lot of platforms don't let you really do that and truly broadcast yourself, unlike YouTube. I'm joking, but
I'm Liam. I am Loadster Claus on both Twitter and YouTube. I haven't posted anything yet, but look forward to it once Engage comes out, because I will be doing my first Let's Play on Lunatic mode, so I'm gonna want to pull my hair out.
it's literally gonna be the funniest thing since sliced bread. I don't know, sliced bread's not fucking funny, but you get what I'm saying. Like, it's gonna
I
be really good.
mean,
I'm
you remember
personally
that game
excited for it.
Jacksepticeye played?
I'm really excited for it, basically. But the way that we're gonna be doing the Crit or Miss podcast is just me and Liam just being real with everyone about stuff, uh, like we usually do. But I feel like, particularly the Fire Emblem community, could use a little bit of realness. So that's what we're trying to bring with Critter Miss. So I hope you guys enjoy that. The first podcast is going to be about our pre-engaged thoughts. The game comes out in 3 days, and we definitely wanted to get this out there before the game came out. So the first
for sure.
thing we're probably going to talk about is some of the characters that interest us. And I think Liam would like to start with that.
Yeah, it's like this game doesn't have as many strong impressions as other games, but there are a handful of both characters that we're really looking forward to, because they got kind of that personality that pops, and some that's ugh, because their designs are ass. I guess
Tell me about those ass designs. I kind of want to hear about those.
The ass designs first.
Yeah.
It's to start off, Hortensia. I feel like this is probably the most one of the most common designs. It definitely feels I don't know. You know that argument that everyone has when they talk about Engage designs, and it's they all look like VTubers. She's the one that looks like a VTuber. She definitely does look like a pink and white version of the VTuber that Mika Pikazo designed for Hololive. And the English voice acting doesn't help either. It's maybe she'll have something interesting with Ivy going on, sibling relationship, but even those are very hit or miss.
Oh, for Fire Emblem, no.
Oh my
god. No chance. So.
Oh my god. I guess another character that's very much popular to not like too much for the design is Panetta or Panette. I'm not sure what the localization is just yet, but yeah, she little goth outfit and pumpkin hair. She's designed like Pumpkaboo from Gen 6. She got the scars around her mouth. I'm not sure it was it confirmed that they're actual scars, or was that just tattoos or some shit?
I'm not sure. But regardless,
Yeah.
she looks like a fucking corny pumpkin scarecrow bitch. I fucking hate it. It looks dumb. I don't even like her whole backstory with how she used to be a punk and now she's trying to be all proper, and her new leaf is Yunaka Bin did that yesterday and did it better. So it's I'm not a fan. I'm definitely not a fan. I've seen a lot of people really like her, and it confuses the hell out of me because Fire Emblem fans will be oh, I hate anime, then Panetta's their profile pic. So it's I really don't understand that. But
yeah. It could very well just be I don't know, the few people on YouTube we've seen that are weirdos.
For sure.
Yeah, and then I guess we can move on to the final design that we're not a big fan of. And for me, it's a lot less, but I think just the concept of her design is kind of interesting. That'd be Mirren, and it's just she's supposed to be from the new nomadic culture for the game. That's why she's like the only like natural wolf rider, I believe. And her whole thing is like, oh, she likes exotic creatures and like dressing up with things from exotic creatures or whatever. And it's like, do we need like a furry with the plug-in tail?
The fucking
Like,
butt plug tail. Yeah, it's fucking too much, man. I think like I was fine with it. I thought she looked like a little boy at first. And then I was like fine with it. I'm like, okay, it's like cute. And then people said, yo, like look like real close. I was like, what are we looking at? And I my mind just bleeped over it because I don't think my lobes could believe what I was seeing, so it just bleeped it out of existence. And I didn't see the tail. I noticed the tail. I'm like, she's a tail? Are you fucking kidding me? It's like, do we need like furries and Fire Emblem? Like this, like I get the wolf skin, but that's different. They're like literally like wolves. This is like someone who decided to put in a butt plug tail in because she likes wolves so much. That's literally furry. Like, buy the books. Like, because you like animals so much, you want to dress up like one. That's not, no. We didn't need it. We didn't need it.
Yeah, I mean, if they wanted to do that, just, I don't know, bring in Lagoos again. I'd be so fucking happy.
Oh, that would be so hype. That would be so hype. No, like me and Liam were talking about some. Oh, I hope this game has shark Lagoos. We're coping super hard, but it would be so cool.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen though.
Because they got like the whole like evil places underwater or whatever. So it's like, oh my god, late game Lagoos is like a shark or something. Biggest cope of the century. Oh my. I guess like now that we're talking about our hopes, we can talk about some of the characters that we're interested in. Would you like to start with some of yours, Nicole?
So, I'm a degen. I don't usually show this side of myself on my YouTube account, but I'm pretty like fucking degen. So, like, see it all, like, oh my god, he's like so fucking hot, and I don't even know why, because when I first saw him, I was like, it was honestly a self-aware moment. I was like, okay, he has like long black hair. His eyes look kind of dead. Oh, this is like kind of my thing, but I'm not feeling it. And then one day he's kind of turned on, and like it's just kind of been on ever since. Because at first I was like really not into it, and then like he's like kind of naked and like dancing, and it's just like doing it for me. And he has a tit window in one of the outfits. It's just too much. It's just hitting in all the right places. Like, I don't know. It's just way too good. And then the other like horny thing is probably Jade. I'm like a big fan of Jade. Like,
holy shit.
Jade is like just so attractive. I have no idea that Fire Emblem even knew how to make beautiful women anymore. And I know people think she's bland because I guess her hair color is the same color as her eye color. I don't fucking know if people think she's bland. I think she's like looks really good, especially in her casual Somniel clothes. So like she looks really good to me.
Yeah, we might have just deep dived too far into like the brain dead YouTube sphere where they were saying like certain characters were like better designed than her, and it's like, no, she got the little helmet and everything. Her like casual clothes are like drippy as fuck. She got suspenders.
Oh, I love her suspenders. Like, she just looks so good.
Like, I don't know, like suspenders on women, like flirting versus harassment is like Rika from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet versus Jade from Engage. Like, people eat the fuck up out of Rika. And then, I guess, speaking of fine women, Ivy's design is just so fucking good. Not even in just like a horny sense. I just love the giant like spike gloves or whatever. It's like, I love over the top designs. I'm like, I don't know, the best designs to me are like those like old 90s fantasy anime with the giant pauldrons and like the giant bangs and stuff. So like having just like over the top like the spike gloves and like the weird little hat and everything is really cool.
That makes a lot of sense. Ivy does like objectively like look pretty good. The colors they use are like really good. Another one that I think kind of stands out is probably Rosado. Rosado is like definitely just IS or whoever the fuck designed Rosado just trying to catch in on Astolfo hype, because Astolfo was like really blown up over the past like couple of years. I have no idea why. Probably just because femboy, but it's like, why this femboy in particular? It's like so many anime have femboys, but yeah, like everyone was like loved Astolfo. It was like very obvious to me from the outset that this was like, you know, a boy, like it's gonna be like a femboy, because just the outfit, it just looked like something a girl would never wear. And I was just like, it's like possible, but it's like I guess it's a corny ass anime game. It's definitely it's gonna be a femboy. It's gonna have monster cock and everything, you know. So it's like I just don't. I was just not seeing what other people were seeing as well with that, but. To me, it just looks like it can be like a lot of fun. I'm not a fan of the English voice. I think the Japanese voice is probably better because it's less stereotypical, but I think it'll be fine still. I think I'll still like enjoy him as a character.
And his design is really nice too. I love the little like sweater he has on, and then like big ass like armored arms and stuff. It's like, I don't know. A lot of designs in this game are fire.
That's for sure, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess like we're specifically citing Astolfo because like he seems like, I don't know, very like when you look at like some of the older like Fire Emblem like femboys and stuff, it's like they're more like reserved or something, or they're more like, I don't know, you have like Libra, you have Lucius, you have Forest, and it's like Forest would be the closest because they both have that kind of like, I guess it's not the exact same because Rosado just liked everything cute while Forrest was specifically into fashion and stuff, but it's like they're the most similar, and even then Forrest is like more reserved and everything, while Rosado seems like pretty like upbeat and stuff, just walking up to people and sketching them for no reason.
Yeah, pretty much. Seems like a total Chad. I can't wait to like see more of his supports, like the one we saw with
definitely.
Him and Goldmary. It was like kind of funny, just to be honest. Him trying to show her up and everything. So that could honestly be fun. So I'm looking forward to seeing more out of him in particular. And I know there's one character that Liam is very hopeful about. We'll see what the game does with her. I'm kind of into her too as well, so I think Liam can kind of take that away.
Yeah, I feel like Yunaka is going to be like very hit or miss, just based on the premise of like her kind of having, I don't know, putting up a different front around people or something. Like when she's like in battle, she's like,
"You're dead."
Got her like killer instinct still, but like otherwise she's trying to be all like nice and upbeat and stuff. And it was like you were saying that it was like what the support with Louis in one of the previews that was like explain how she's trying to turn over a new leaf, which is neat. The reason I'm worried is it's like, I don't know, just Twitter communities and like how they treat characters sometimes. It's like, I don't know, last time we got a character that was like, I don't know, putting up a front, we got Claude, and like people just took that genuinely, and now he's like the TikTok meme lord who's like always upside down and like, whoa. And then also she has like all these little catchphrases like hiya papaya and stuff like that. It definitely reminds me of like she's gonna like explode and be like, I don't know, Senna from Xenoblade Chronicles 3, just with like everyone saying she's the best character because she's just like got the little catchphrases like, I'm the girl with the gall.
Oh my gosh, I'm not even gonna get into Xenoblade Chronicles 3 community right now, but it's just insane like how many people like Senna. I'm hoping Yunaka's better Senna. Like, first Critter Miss hot take, I think this will be the first one. I do not like Senna at all. Like, I think Senna is just like she's just like too much, but then also not enough. It's like they tried to do something with her to where she's like hiding her true personality, and then it's like, oh, but then she acts all bubbly and stuff, trying to be all social in order to hide how insecure she is, and it didn't land. I didn't like it. So I'm personally looking forward to a different kind of take on the character where they actually develop the concept a little bit more and not just have it in some shitty side mission thing, and she just like and she's just awkward the rest of the game and says like fucking dumbass shit all the time that's just not even funny. And it's like, so it's like Hiya Papaya is like a little bit cringe, I guess, but it didn't like really like phase me or anything, maybe because I'm just used to stuff, but it didn't phase me that much.
It's definitely like not bad on its own. It's if people start like, I don't know, putting it everywhere. Like, I don't know, for like entire like half a month I had like, I'm the girl with the gall and yippee. in my feed, just like autism creature. Yeah. And I guess the last one that just to quickly go over is Alchrist seems like very
I love
interesting.
Alchrist.
He's like, I don't know. He seems very fun and like I've seen some people say like, oh, it's gonna be like Burned for Engaged. No, it's not the same. He's not like misrepresenting mental illness. He's like he's like got a little inferiority complex and he wants to like to protect the people around him even though like it's their job to like protect him. It's very neat.
It's like I can see it because it's like, you know, all shy, Archer, whatever the fuck, you know. But at the same time, I think I like this a little bit more because the cutscene that we saw where he almost just fucking ends the game in like the first like couple of chapters and shoots Allier, like that was like really badass. It was like really cool. I feel like Bernadetta never really had any moment to shine, if we're being honest. Like, so
Yeah,
that was like
it's
really
pure joke
cool.
character.
Yeah, pure joke. Like, I feel like there's gonna be like a little bit more to Alchrist, and I don't think he's gonna be screaming all the time. Maybe only some of the time. I love when people scream. I know people hate that. I like screamers, okay? But it's like it just can't be all the time. And like for some unfunny joke about like how your dad beats you or something. It's like,
Ugh.
so it's just like, okay.
Jesus Christ. And I guess like on that note, I'm interested to see how the characters are gonna come into play in Somniel, right? Because like we were discussing this before, and we're not sure exactly how like congruent with the story the interactions in Somniel are gonna be because of like kind of the tone of that place. I think it's like maybe one chapter there's gonna be like the whole like sad moment or whatever. It's not gonna hit as much as like Three Houses, which is like the one moment in the game I really liked was like Geralt's death, like that whole scene and everything. With this, like it's definitely not gonna hit that much, but they're gonna attempt it. And if not in Somniel, I can see them trying to like have it more congruent on the battlefields because you can explore around there.
Oh, that is a good point. I'll get to that. But for Three Houses, I completely agree. Honestly, it really felt like that was the only part of the game where I actually gave a fuck about what was happening. And the other part of the game that gave a fuck, spoiler alert, was when Edelgard was like probably like the Flame Emperor. And I was, cause like someone had spoiled me, but I didn't believe them. So like when I saw it happen in the game, I was like, what the fuck? And I was like so taken aback. So those are like probably the only two parts of the game that actually got like, a real reaction out of me. The second one is just like me telling stories, but the first one is like, yeah, like that was like honestly like really good. It honestly makes you like kind of invested in what's going on. Byleth emoted, which was weird. Like I was like, wow, like Byleth's emoting, that's insane. I thought he'd just be like staring down the corpse of his dad.
Yeah,
like
the dead fish eyes.
Yeah, the dead fish eyes. But yeah, it's like that's a good point. I never thought about the after battle when you can walk around that they might actually say things there. I think that has a higher chance of actually having important shit than the Somniel actually. Like
now that I've seen it.
Yeah, like definitely they're just gonna say shit there because they'll be like right after the battle, like after something big in the story happens, and they're like, yo, what the fuck? Like you know, whatever the plot twist was. So I can definitely see that. I thought we were gonna have another milestone about me and Liam agreeing because I feel like this podcast will be kind of a circle jerk. I feel like we're just gonna agree with each other, but I think like we kind of like resolved it somehow.
Yeah,
like we don't disagree anymore about this because initially it was like Liam was saying like, oh, they're definitely gonna try to do what they did with Geralt and people are gonna be reacting to the plot, and I said definitely not. No one's gonna be reacting to shit, and it's probably gonna be really discongruent with the plot and like super weird, like, which is what people complain about. I probably won't mind it too much because I'm not taking the story seriously anyway, but I know people will bitch about it. They'll be like, oh man, it's so weird going from, you know, Lumera's death to the Somniel, and everyone's like swimming around in circles and doing laps around the pond and all this stuff, and it's like,
yeah,
I don't really give a shit.
Like Damon's like, no, Dad, please hang on, and he like 15 minutes later is like, hey there, divine dragon, you want to do some squats with me?
Squats. That's actually like a good segue into like the activities that are in the Somniel. It was very strange, honestly. Like all the reactions to the Somniel activities. I thought it was like very hyperbolic and people just doing too much. Like people were mad about yoga pants and all types of silly things as if they were still immersed in the story, which was insane to me.
Yeah, I kind of stopped giving a shit about like why are there modern clothes here in like Three Houses when people were like Ash and Bernadette were wearing hoodies with drawstrings. It's like, how big of a leap are like drawstrings from like fucking yoga pants? I get it's like a whole ensemble here. It's like they're literally wearing like Nike uniform. It's like I cannot say I care.
Yeah, I can't pretend to give a shit. And that's why Liam is the co-host. Like, literally, like, I just agree with everything. Because it's just, like, how can you just, like, pretend to, like, give a shit at this point? Especially when Three Houses did it. And then you pretend like Three Houses did it better. But it's like, no. At least, like, in the Somniel, it's, like, this non-canon space where it's just, like, purely fan service for you to see your favorite characters in casual clothes. Because everyone likes to see that. It's, like, fan art all the time of people in casual clothes.
Oh,
you know? So it's,
and
like,
it's like
it makes more sense.
Good designs too. Like a lot of characters, like they have like their unique outfits as well, and it's like drippy, and it's much better than like the DLC outfits from Three Houses. Not for this just to be on like, I don't know, hating on Three Houses for like an hour and like however long, but it really is just like there are parts that are better polished, and it's like, I don't know. These outfits are just better than a shitty like gym uniform.
No. For sure. Ugh, I just remembered the butler outfit in Three Houses and how like the towel didn't bend or whatever, and it reminded me of Aliar's ponytail in Engage, so I started laughing.
Yeah. Yeah, the hair physics in this game are horrible. Like for Aliar's ponytail, it was just like flopping around like it was like a Gmod ragdoll, and like it was the same with like Celine's hair. I get it's like how the fuck are you supposed to like animate Celine's hair, but it's like you could have tried more. And like I think
it was
like,
also a decision to design it like that in the first place, where it will be hard to rig and model. That was also a decision. So
yeah, where it's legitimately like those like cheap like action figures you get where like the hair is like a single piece. It's like. Well, and the game does look really nice, but there were like in some of the trailers some graphical hiccups like those that we saw, and like a moment where like, oh, Somni is like following you around, and like it just like was a full on fucking Pokemon like Diamond and Pearl remake just started sliding towards you. It was actually the funniest shit on earth.
It was so funny. I'm gonna drop that like in the thing so you can see it. It's like so fucking funny.
It was literally like, I don't know, I saw it, I was like, no, go back. Oh my god. Yeah, and I guess just in general, Somniel looks interesting from like graphically speaking. I like the little vineyard part and everything, and like the petting zoo is really cool. I'm very excited for that, even though it's like, I don't know, inconsequential. It's like, damn, Three Houses, you couldn't pet like cats in the base game, and now we're out here fucking adopting camels and alpacas and shit.
Yeah, we'd love to see that evolution, perfect direction for the series to go into. So basically, another thing I want to touch on with Somniel is like some of the activities. I like kind of skimmed over it a little bit, but I feel like people were also hyperbolic about that because they're making it seem like it's this thing that will drag out the run time of the game, even though like as like Three Houses where running around the monastery was like super draining and you just didn't want to do it after a while. I don't really see that to be the case here, as it seems like you don't really have to do all that stuff if you don't want to. Like, people were getting mad about, like, oh, this, like, exercise minigame. It's like, it takes too long. Like, just don't do it then. You don't need that one dexterity, dude. You don't need the one dexterity.
Mini-games, yeah. So it's like, you can already buy tonics anyway. Like, tonics are back, so it's like, just, like, make a meal, like, talk to people, leave. Or, like, yeah, upgrade your rings. It's definitely, like, I don't know, the rail shooter is only there if you want to grind and, like, I don't know, play a rail shooter. The shitty like workout game is there if you want to like get like, I don't know, more stats. as if you
Literally
need that
one
much more.
dexterity. So it's like
If you like, you literally get more stats from like a fucking bronze bond ring.
pretty much like. Oh yeah, that's another thing people were mad about in Somniel was the gacha system. I think gacha systems in paid games are pretty cool, and this one doesn't even seem like one of those like bad gachas where you had to be grinding for a long time to max it out. It
Yeah.
seems fairly easy to max out because there's only 10 things in each pool you can get. So it seems I don't need a lot of copies, like, but still, it seems pretty easy
I
to
mean,
max out.
even then, there's like the chance that you like pull just like S rank or A rank things, right? From
Yeah,
there.
there is. Yeah, there is. So you can just skip all the steps right there and just like pull like S rank soap and just win the game, I guess. So it's like, it seems like pretty not like what do you call it, consequential. Like it just seems like something that is just there to help skill inheritance. Is kind of the way that instead of like switching between classes to get skills, which you can probably still do, I'm not entirely 100% sure, but you can get skills from rings too. Yeah, so you can just get skills from rings too. It just makes for easier builds. It could be a little bit broken, but I assume it will be maybe hard to get S rank, so it's not that big of a deal.
And it's not like it's pure lethality either. It's like false swipe on level 100 Pokemon.
Yeah.
And then like, yeah, you can only use S rank Alm on like sword users, so it's like, it's not
really?
that bad. Yeah, well, it said that like if you're initiating with a sword.
Oh, that's crazy.
You get wind sweep.
That is crazy.
And
yeah, so
okay,
that's good. That's cool.
Yeah, and in general, I think the way that it's gonna work with skills is like, yeah, these ones are, like, I feel like even like wind sweep on swords is like kind of nerfed too because it's like luck stat, and it's like cool because like luck is crit in Echoes and Gaiden, and it's like what do you call it? It's kind of like nerfed in that way because like, are we really gonna be like investing in luck stat just so we can have wind sweep?
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be like the final skills of like the emblem rings, and then also class skills that you get. Like you're probably gonna get shit like Luna from like classes, and you're not gonna get that from like what do you call it, the bond rings, unless fucking Black Knight gives you Black Luna and you win the game.
I was actually thinking like something weird. Like, do you think that they will like reference like Jacob getting Luna in the? Because this game is like strangely meta about some of the things it adds. So it's like maybe they would like give Jacob Luna. It would be funny. I mean, everyone did great, not Jacob apparently. So, or Frederick, like either one of them. I think.
Yeah, it would be.
It.
I am very excited just to see like which characters have the skills. Like, I don't know. I wonder what skills they're gonna bring back to like. Maybe they'll bring back Nihil, which you haven't played. Is Nihil in Thracia?
I probably forgot what it
did. I believe it negates enemy skills. I could be wrong.
Well, yeah, if you are wrong, people yell at us, so it's fine.
Okay, yeah, that would be funny, yeah. Yeah, but it was like in Path of Rains and Rain Dawn, so maybe it's like, someone from there will have it. Yeah. I think, yeah, just from there we can move on to like the rings themselves, right?
Yeah, probably.
At first, like, they seem like this game seemed like there was huge balancing issues just because of like how like all the like trailers before we got like the actual previews and like Q&As and stuff from like reviewers, they like it seemed like everything was on easy mode, and like you saw characters doing like 41 times 2 plus 7 to like fucking characters with 50 HP, like literally like I don't know, Chloe, I shit you not, I saw a clip just today of Chloe like with a what do you call it, Slim Lance doing 42 times 2. I was like, what the fuck? But it's like, after we got the previews, I feel like, for me at least, it's kind of like toned down that, like, okay, we're actually gonna have to like think and like play the video game.
Thinking in a Fire Emblem game, holy shit.
Yeah, and yeah.
It's like, I agree with Liam. Seeing more of the like actual gamers playing the game, it actually has like calmed down some of my fears for the balancing issues. I do think it'll still have balancing issues, probably, just because it's just hard to really conceptualize how you can have all these things. And I'm learning more about the revival stones and how you can't just one-shot bosses with Celica's Ragnarok and Echoes like we thought you would be able.
Yeah,
Ragnarok,
and they can't be
so
broken. Most bosses can't.
yeah, so it does give me more hope, but I'll definitely have to have the game in my hands to know that, okay, I don't have too many tools in my possession. It still seems you have too many tools in your possession, but they just put in safeguards to where you can't really like abuse them too much. I still think break mechanic is still gonna be like a little bit crazy, because just like, when the heck? Because I'm just thinking about other Fire Emblem experiences, you know, where I'm never at a weapon triangle advantage, so why would this happen in this game? It's like, it happens sometimes, maybe like once or twice per game, like I'll let a lance unit hit my sword unit, but if the consequences that they can't strike back for the rest of the combat, oh, you fucking bet your ass I'm never gonna do that shit. So it's like, how in the heck is break gonna really like balance the game in terms of, oh, the enemies can do it to you too? It just seems like more of a, you suck at the game if you get broken.
I guess.
But at least
the ways. Oh, sorry.
No, I said it's fine.
Yeah, it seems like they would have to implement like ambush spawns and like more than just one Fog of War chapter. For it to actually seem relevant, and then I guess we'll have to see like Lunatic, because we're both going to be doing our first playthrough on Lunatic.
Ooh.
So maybe from there. We can see like, oh, maybe in that mode, like units other than the boss are gonna have like the anti-break skill, or yeah. And I think initially I was very worried about some of the rings, and like especially with this, because like you get break and then also like, I don't know, because like just win like from one combat anyway. But it's like, it doesn't seem as bad anymore. Like, what I was really worried about was the leaf ring, where it just like equips it like increases the effects of the weapon triangle, and then equips the weapon that like will keep you at an advantage or not at a disadvantage during enemy phase automatically. But then it's like, and once we learned about like the classes a bit more, it's like, okay, it's not as bad as I thought, because it's like, you can, like, the maximum amount of like weapon types a character can have in this game is 2. So it's like, you won't have the entire weapon triangle unless.
Okay, I've seen what you're saying.
Yeah, well, I guess unless you equip Leaf to like, I don't know, a lance unit or something, and then you'll have everything, because yeah, Master Axe, I think that's what they have. Yeah, but I feel like, yeah, Engage is just gonna be, or yeah, I think at this point, like, the biggest balancing issues definitely are just like how break isn't going to affect the player as bad as the enemy, and then also just like certain rings, like Marth seems super broken after seeing like the skills that he gets.
Actually, can you explain that a little bit more, because I'm kind of lost? Why? So you're saying that like Leaf's ring would have all weapons with a lance unit? Is that because like the things he comes with is Master Axe and then like Light Brand, but he doesn't have a lance?
Yeah, something
Okay.
like that. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I know he has 2 of the weapon triangle weapons and the bow.
Oh, they gave him a bow? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. I understand now.
Yeah.
What were you saying before?
I
I was very confused.
Like the other ring that I'm less so worried about Leaf now. I'm more so like the very first one you get in Marth, because it seems like he's gonna just make most units really fucking broken with the amount of like avoid and like he gives the characters, and then like, I don't know, the amount of hits that he lets characters get. So it's like, I wonder how that's gonna be balanced out.
Definitely, like, the character building for this game seems super interesting. It's like one part of it is super interesting, like I'm gonna have so much fun, and then the other part is like it's kind of brain dead. Just let everyone kind of get Marth, but I guess logistical issues. Everyone can't have Marth, but it's like Marth is whoever has Marth most of the game will just be broken because they're not gonna get hit by anything ever if they're wielding a sword, I believe. So it's like, or maybe it's just avoid in general that he gives, but I thought it was with sword, and it's like you're never gonna get hit. So Sword Master with Marth, Allier with Marth will never get hit by anything. So
yeah,
that's just kind of the thing that's crazy to me. Unless like enemies get a crazy amount of hits later on, but that's never happened ever in a Fire Emblem game. So
maybe like in the chapters where like you have like fucking Hyacinth that we saw like going full on like ballista bullshit, like haha, eat rock, and fucking snipes you from across the map with Lyn. It's like maybe that'll have high accuracy because Lyn skill stat.
Very true, very true. And then now that I'm thinking about it, I guess, oh man, I really should have looked up before this if Marth's skill is like particularly with sword. Because I'm thinking of like, what if you combine this with a covert class, which gets double avo from terrain? It just gets a little bit ridiculous that like more it keeps stacking, but it's probably just a sword and dagger doesn't count. So that's like one less thing to worry about in terms of difficulty of the game, I guess. But
I guess yeah, because what sword class would, I guess maybe if you engage Yunaka with Marth, that would be it. But that's like, I don't know, you're engaging, the character's gonna be broken.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess that it's just like, I don't know, again, on the topic of character building, just the amount of customization you get in this game. Because I feel like Three Houses had a lot of customization on paper, but it's very much like, it felt like characters didn't have as much of an identity as like characters from previous games, because like it was pretty much just as easy to like make any character, any class you want through like the seminars and stuff. And like most characters didn't have super interesting or like, I don't know, good personal skills or crests. So it's like, I don't know. Yeah, these two characters are going to be effectively the same besides the like growth rates. With this game, it's like, I don't know. Most personal skills actually matter, and then also the way that you reclass, you have to like keep a certain ring on that character for a long amount of time. So like, you can't just make everyone Wyvern Knight or anything, right? Because it's like you only have so many rings that are going to give you like Axe or Lance.
Yeah, pretty much. Definitely got in the end game of Three Houses, just make everyone a Wyvern Lord. Like, fuck it, like you can do that. It does make everyone feel a little bit samey, especially with how no one had prefs. I was thinking in Three Houses that relics would just be like prefs, in the sense that only like the person with the crest could use them, but that's not even true. It's just that you take a little bit of damage, but people in Three Houses have like 60 HP and stupid shit like that, so taking 10 doesn't really have as many dire consequences as you would think. So I didn't even notice in my playthrough. I just assumed they were prefs, but apparently they aren't prefs, which gives them even less identity. So it's really ridiculous.
Just like, and also just like, I don't know, not to get onto like the Three Houses tangent for much longer, but like, I don't know, it's just like so like dissonant from the story where it's like Miklon literally turns into a giant fucking black tar monster thing. Like when he tries to use the lance, and it's just like, ouchie, I got a paper cut.
No, I think like talking about Three Houses is relevant because I mean it was the last game, so when we're comparing it to what happened in the past, I think Three Houses is like extra more relevant than a lot of the other games for how it's improving upon the past entry or expanding upon the past entry and all that stuff. So I think it's both to bring up. It's not like really shitting on the game. I mean, we both put like hundreds of hours into it, so I don't hate the game or anything.
Yeah.
It just definitely had like some flaws, and I never touched it again after my first playthrough. So that should probably tell you how I feel about it. But also, one thing that I compared the class system in this game to was Xenoblade Chronicles 3 class system. Because in Xenoblade Chronicles 3, technically, every character could get every class, but it was the accessibility to those classes that made it to where characters still had identity, even though they could use every class. I feel like Engage will be like that in the sense of, oh, this character already has swords, so it'll just be easier for them to like go to classes which use swords. It'll be easier for them to do that. In the same way in Xenoblade Chronicles 3, where if they had an S rank for this class, they got the class immediately. If they had F rank, you had to grind a long time for them to be able to access the class. And then also you have the other thing, like the other category of having the Kavesi class and the Agrian class, which added a whole different layer to customization. So Lands using, let's say, Signifier class was not the same thing as Mio using Signifier class. It was very different because they're from different nations. So I see a lot of similarities in the case of the accessibility, adding a lot more value to the customization of this game versus 3 houses where you could just basically make everyone kind of the same unit, and there's really no difference.
On paper in 3 houses, it's like, oh wait, you have to grind extra long, but it's like, not really. You're not grinding, you're kind of just like passively doing this shit. And then it's also like, there's like a million guides online showing like, oh look, you just like, if you do in this order, like you'll be able to turn this character into like I don't know. Basically, you can like make Burned into like the most broken character in the game by like chapter 8 or something like that. And it's like, I can't see that happening with Engage unless you're like severely like going out of your way and like, I don't know, kind of like taking stuff away from your other characters. Because again, it's like, especially when it comes to like weapons that aren't swords, like if you want to like make a character, I don't know, like a war monk or something, because the Chi Master or whatever it was called, your only option for that is going to be like Micaiah, and like having Micaiah on a character that doesn't have healing is like a huge yikes. So it's like you're kind of missing out on stuff that way.
Yeah, that's actually like a really good point. I was thinking just now in my head, who would give daggers? Would Micaiah give daggers?
Yeah, Micaiah does, because
that's another thing. You can't make everyone a thief. Thief is like super broken in this game, and you can't really make everyone a thief, because why would you want to put Micaiah on Allier or whoever the heck instead of on Hortensia, so she can have like more range for her healing and stuff like that.
For
so
sure. Yeah, and then like I don't know, that's also the Wolf Rider class too, which everyone's like, oh my god, the animation's nice. But yeah, it's like I don't know, these 2 classes that are like very like valued and stuff, it's like only one thing so far. Maybe Corrin will also give it because daggers, or maybe funny Dimitri reference with Byleth, but it's like
oh, Byleth has a dagger on his hip though. The little
yeah, maybe Byleth will then. Yeah.
Look at us theory crafting. We're like MatPat. We're finally living up to our hero's name. So
game theorizing, yeah. I guess like on the note of like not balancing issues, but like how easy the game will be, it's like it seems like this game is like leaning even further into accessibility. Like it's like a big thing for games in general. It's like they want, like the industry wants to get as many people in as possible, so they're bumping up the accessibility. And for this game, that it like takes the form of Divine Pulses being back, I guess it's a series staple now, and then also the fact that after you like game over or something, you can simply decide to retain all of your levels and experience.
Yeah, and I believe that can't be turned off with difficulty, so you can do that even in Lunatic. At least, well, Maddening mode, so...
Yeah, I think it's called Lunatic.
I think it's called Maddening, but this doesn't really matter, it's the same shit. So...
Yeah, I don't know, Tomao's motto.
But yeah, like, when I saw that, it was, like, so shocking. It was like, are we really to this point in RPGs where you just hit your head against the wall enough times and you can kind of clear the chapter? Because that's what retained experience does. You can do the same shit again and again and you'll clear it with enough tries. And I know it's an option, but it's just kind of, I don't know how I feel about that. That you can just hit your head against the wall a million times and clear the stage, and we play on the same difficulty, and it's like no, like you didn't play the same game I played, sir. You really didn't. So it's like I don't really know how I feel about that, honestly.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. Again, like the game that it comes to mind when I think of it is like Pokemon's been doing it forever because like your characters only faint, you don't really game over in that game, and I find it like strange that it's like we're like bringing in like Pokemon levels of like accessibility and stuff for like this strategy game that what do you call it? I don't know. Has like a really big grip on like the strategy RPG series. Like there's not many other games that are like on the same like level of popularity or funding as Fire Emblem.
Yeah, I think on that note about the different difficulties, I think accessibility is very important because there are people with disabilities, there are people who are younger, and I don't think that they should be excluded from playing games they're interested in. But that's why we have difficulty options. Like some of these to make the game easier should be tied to difficulty options. So you don't look down on anyone for playing these lower difficulties, but at the same time, it's like for people who want to bless them, oh, I beat Lunatic. You want to fucking achievement when you beat Lunatic, but it's like you can beat Lunatic by just cheesing the game. Is kind of like what's the fucking point of the difficulty options at a certain point?
I don't know. It's like if someone like walked up to me and said, I beat like Lunatic mode on casual. It's like we didn't play the same game. It's like not even like looking down on people because a lot of people that seems like a big like marketing thing for this game. It's like wanting to get a bunch of people in and like trying to make it as like chill and satisfying for people as possible, and like that's chill, but like again, that's why lower like difficulty exists. Not even to be like elitist or anything, but it's like I don't know. It's very interesting, and I want to see like how this evolves.
For sure. I think another part of that is also Divine Pulse a little bit. I feel like Divine Pulse also kind of adds to the easiness factor, and we could get into like a whole thing about, oh, that's artificial difficulty, that the fact that there's like no save points and things, and so it's like Divine Pulse like offers a type of save points, but it's like when you can save point from any point in the chapter and then just like undo your RNG, it's like why even have RNG in Fire Emblem in the first place then? Like just have things be guaranteed or not guaranteed to hit at a certain point. To me, that's like kind of what it feels like when you just like automatically just like redo that thing, said, oh, actually I'm gonna move them here, and now my move will hit and then their thing will miss, and it's just like that's just kind of what it feels like. It feels like you're taking out the RNG element of Fire Emblem, which does make it way more satisfying and way more cool in my opinion. So
yeah, and I feel like Three Houses gets an excuse for that because like the characters aren't spread out throughout the game, so like if you're halfway through the game and one of your characters dies, you're not going to get a replacement, so it's like you kind of need to reset or like have those like built-in save. But with a game like this, it's the same thing. I think of like when they like pretty much revealed the entire cast before the game released. It's like again, Three Houses gets a pass on that because it's like you get all your characters in the first like 2 chapters, like save for like a few. But yeah, with this game, it's definitely like, what's the need for it? Again, it's an option, but it's also like, I don't know.
It does remove stakes, even though it's an option. I kind of hate that because even though it's an option, it does remove stakes because you know in the back of your head that I can just press this button and that I'm adding more, stress to myself, basically to add an artificial challenge because the game itself isn't challenging. I'm just making it challenging by adding these like weird difficulty things, restrictions to myself and how I play. So it's like you're not using all the tools at your disposal in order for the sake of a challenge. It's just like I'm a fan of doing that, but the argument can be made that is like a little bit weak and it lowers the stakes of the game because you know that you can not do that and it will be fine and you wouldn't lose your unit. And I feel like I definitely do agree with what Liam said in that Three Houses, it kind of needed it a little bit since characters weren't spread throughout the game, but it's also like, why would you design a game like that to where you would need the crutch of Divine Pulse? I don't understand why you would do it.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder, like, what do you call it? Um, I don't know. I like how often is this gonna come up again? Like, yeah, are we gonna have like Divine Pulse in like the FE6 remake where we have like 40 plus characters spread out like pretty much one every chapter or two?
Yeah,
Like,
I
ugh.
hope they take it out of some of these like newer like remakes and things, just because it doesn't really need it. I don't really think like it's like they're unfair sometimes, but it's like that's the fun of Fire Emblem to me, is that sometimes it screws you over. Like, and it's like just
Yeah, well,
run
and
up around
you
your
have
house
to
because you're mad.
adapt and
But
everything,
yeah, pretty
right?
much. Yeah, you have to adapt to like what's happening. And if your unit dies, just restart. I think that's like a part of
Yeah.
my mentality where like I've just been restarting since like at least Fates. In Awakening, I don't think any of my units ever died, so I never had to restart. But in Fates, I was definitely like resetting like all the time. So it's like I don't even
Mhm.
understand why this really is an issue. It feels a little bit disingenuous to say that, oh, you have to have Divine Pulse because if you lose one of your units, it's like people are going to reset. If they mess up in a game, they're going to start the chapter over. It
Mhm.
happens in platformers, like it happens in like everything. You just like start over. It's like you don't just like
Yeah.
live with the consequences of your actions. Because it's a video game. What's the point of
Yeah.
a video game? You don't live with the consequences. You just start over. So it's like
Yeah.
people are still going
Like,
to do that even if the game isn't designed for you to do that. They're still going to do
mhm.
it. So it's like,
And I guess like another thing too is like it's not it's not just a thing that's like, oh, I fucked up or oh, I got RNG screwed. You can use it yourself to RNG abuse, where it's like, oh, I have like a 20% crit here. Let me try this. Oh, it didn't work. Let me reset that and like just like do it the long way because I don't want my character to die. It's like there's like along with like if you just like make just a regular mistake, you can recover from it. If you take risks, it's no longer a risk because it's like, oh, you can just recover, and it's like, oh, one of my 10 uses is gone. Good thing I have 9 more.
basically, pretty much what Liam. Like, I'm telling you, this is the Circle Jerk podcast. I just never disagree with anything Liam says. But, but like, no, like, seriously, like, there's like really, it takes out the RNG aspect, it takes out the risk. Like, kind of, what is the point? I understand it more for Echoes because I feel like the witch RNG was like so like insane. You can just like they can just teleport from across the. Maybe I never understood their RNG, but I just felt it was random, and they can just teleport from across the screen, just kill one of your units, and just I don't know, just move away after that. It's just ridiculous. So I understand it more for Echoes because they're trying to be a faithful remake, and it could be like a little bit unfair. I feel like Echoes definitely out of the 3 games that's been included so far makes the most sense to me what was added. And 3 Houses makes sense, but it's like, why don't you design the game that way to where you needed Divine Pools in order for it to be a good experience for people? So
Yeah.
that's what I say to that.
Yeah, and at this point, it's just like, again, kind of novelty just to make the game more accessible. And, like, again, no issues with that. It's just an issue with the fact that, I don't know, people who don't need that accessibility are still going to be using it in like the
Yeah.
highest difficulties, and like because it doesn't have the same like skew to it that casual mode does, people are gonna be like, it's like, I don't know, I'm still gonna use it at some parts, I think, like, but it's also like I wouldn't be against it just not being there at all, right?
Yeah, I actually did hear a really good point from somebody. They said that it will be kind of better if Fire Emblem went with like what they did in like the Marth games, where you have like a save in the middle of the chapter. So,
Mm-hmm.
so basically, if you can't save at every single point, it's like in every other RPG. I feel like Fire Emblem needs to put in more RPG elements. It's like this Kingpin RPG, but it's still lagging behind in certain areas. But
Yeah.
a lot of RPG dungeons, what they'll do is they'll have a save point in the middle of the dungeon so that if you die in the dungeon, you don't have to redo everything. So I feel like Fire Emblem could definitely benefit from kind of bringing that mechanic back, where you can go back to that one specific point. If they still want to tie it into time travel, then they can tie it into time travel and be like, oh,
Yeah.
this stone lets you go back to this specific point, and you can only set once per map at this specific point. So after you do
Yeah.
something crazy, you can just go back to it.
And
That would be better than what we have now, honestly.
yeah, and I feel like that's just kind of a trend for Fire Emblem games. They take a mechanic that people like from older games and kind of add it in without like any like good reason to, like how Fates did with the child units, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess like I don't know, that kind of segues into how this game very much feels like it's just like Fates 2.0. Not even in just the respect of it like seeming like mid-story, good gameplay, alright characters. It's like just the way that the cast is composed of like almost entirely nobles and their true retainers, and then you have like the two separate nations all coming together, putting aside their issues to go fight Satan, and then you have some awakening mixed in there where it's like, oh, the fell dragon and his evil zombie guys, and you're I don't think like you're like a partial amnesiac or something, with like dragon blood in your veins, who has like an evil version of yourself as well. Ooh, it's like it is very rehashy.
Definitely rehashing a lot of things from prior games, and it does make me feel like this particular installment, in terms of like the story at least, doesn't really have anything new being added to it. It feels a little bit corny at times, and even like the writing itself, it really feels like Fates. Like everyone remembers the Rainbow Sage scene where Corn's just like fucking vomiting and crying over the Rainbow Sage. You know, that's like kind of the vibes the freaking Evil Adlier gives me, and all this stuff. It just gives me that same corny ass vibes. That's just like, what the fuck? Like, am I too old for Fire Emblem at this point? Kind of vibes. But
Yeah,
I'm joking, but
it's like, yeah, and it's I don't know. It definitely comes across like, okay, they definitely made this while Three Houses wasn't out yet. Like I know it's just like that just like makes sense, but it's like, yeah, they didn't realize that they should be like putting a lot of like effort into story and stuff yet. When like Three Houses was huge. I wonder if the sales of this game are going to impact that, because it's like, I don't know, it's like when they like started making games, it was like, okay, yeah, it's like you have Three Houses, that's going to be a departure from what we've currently been doing, and I don't know, just to try new stuff out and like fail in some ways and like succeed in others, just so we can like try and perfect the formula. And this other one we're going to start making just as we finish up Three Houses is going to be like, I don't know, another tentpole game where it's just like, okay, a bunch of stuff from the series, let's make it a legacy game because that's what made Awakening sell. Let's make a bunch of gameplay mechanics because they like that in Fates when they were able to really build their characters and make them broken. It's like, what do you call it? It's very like, it feels very transparent what they were doing.
I think there was like a part of it where it might have been like kind of a mistranslation or something about like someone like growing up in a deep realm. I don't know. It's just like a bunch of like weird stuff.
Yeah, it was like, I don't think it was even a mistranslation. I think the person said, I could be misremembering, so I'm not gonna like slander them by saying like who said it, but it's like, I think it was literally like the same like characters in Japanese too as Outrealm, and it's like, no, you guys didn't make fucking Kagetsu a Fate's child because he has a Japanese name.
Yeah, I think one of the other things that I'm just not remembering that I think Liam in particular took kind of an issue with was how they're removing weapon durability again. Just like I did in Fates. And in Fates, they balanced it by making silver weapons shit so that you would never use them, like, ever. So it's like you can only, like, pretty much get in one battle per enemy phase, or your unit becomes dog shit. So it's like, kind of ass. So in this game, it appears that there is no balancing. Because usually in past Fire Emblem games, the balancing that comes with using silver weapons is that, for one, they're expensive. And for two, they have low durability. So it makes you want to save those weapons and save those preps, because you're not going to be able to get them back unless you use a hammer and staff. So you don't want to just spam the weapon. In this game, it appears that you can just use weapons willy-nilly, which makes you wonder what gold's going to be used for this game. If you can just trade weapons between your characters. Everyone is not need their own silver sword, let's be honest. So it's like you can just trade weapons between characters, and
yeah,
it really shouldn't be a big deal.
Enemies are going to be dropping weapons, and you get them from chests, and I don't know. I'm not sure what they would have shown, because a lot of the stuff in Somniel that does take currency is like, you use the little star bits or whatever. You want cosmetics? Use the little Somni points. You want to get some like shades for your dog? Yeah. I think I'm not sure exactly if like developing countries was like the points, or if it was gold.
I think that is gold, but I believe that cosmetics were also like gold as well. But it's like, how many? We can check after, but like I'm pretty sure it was gold.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't know, purely optional stuff that gold is there for.
Yeah, pretty much so. And I feel like that's part of the fun of Fire Emblem. Oh, cooking also uses gold?
I believe so.
Okay. But I feel like that's part of the fun of Fire Emblem, is managing your money and everything. Maybe I'm just like a freak, and I just like all this little micromanaging tasks, because it's what I kind of do all the time in real life, kind of. And I feel like something's going to be kind of missing a little bit without like having to actually use gold, and you can infinitely grind. I feel like at least in Fates, it was like you didn't have unlimited items. Like there was like I know this has a stock as well, but it's like you can infinitely grind gold. I feel like in Conquest like, you can infinitely grind gold, so it felt more limited too.
Someone on Twitter pointed out too that like steel in the shop, in the screenshot they showed off, is like 500 in stock.
What?
Yeah.
Excuse me? Is that like a placeholder? But why would you need a placeholder? The game's coming out in a week.
It was literally like 500 stock for steel, and like something else there was like less. But it's like, and then that like increases with the game. And I feel like just too, with the fact that there's no drawback to using just the strongest weapons in the game, comes with like that in turn also has balancing issues, I feel, because it's like you're gonna have to like put everything on the pedestal of like, I don't know, you're assuming that the player is gonna have silver weapons on like every character they have.
Yeah, pretty much. There's no reason to not use silver weapons, because they never break and they don't debuff you. I feel like even though people didn't like face balancing, at least there was attempted at balancing so that you don't overuse silver weapons, and so that like steel weapons, you don't want to use those that much either, just because they reduce your speed a little bit. They're a little bit stronger. I guess they brought back Con finally. They brought back Con, so that's like a thing. So
yeah, maybe like silver weapons are gonna be like 20 weight or some shit.
Possibly. That would for sure make you not want to use them at all.
Yeah, fucking like Yunaka's gonna be like crippled worse than like fucking Lin using a steel sword. Like, I feel like just the game too, why it's like a lot like Fates, is like it's almost leaning into gimmicks more than Fates, because I noticed that even outside of like individual character gimmicks, it's like for every like pair of like retainers, they also have a gimmick. While like in Fates, it was like, oh, both of them like are like unique and like play off of each other. In this one, it's like both of Alfred's are what do you call it, like muscle and stuff, and they're like, oh, I want to build strong. All these muscles are for Firene or whatever it's called, Firene. And then like Ivy's retainers, both of them are described to be very eccentric and having like a strange way of talking. And it's like, we're going to the point where it's like even gimmicks among like groups of characters.
No, for sure. Even the fucking names of some of the characters really I think one of my least favorite fucking puns in the game that's like super stupid is Sayados's English name. It's like Sayadol, and it's supposed to be like see it all, like a
all.
fucking
Yeah.
shitty ass Dragon Quest pun. It's like, I love Dragon Quest, but holy hell, like I'm not calling him that. I know
Yeah,
eventually
we're
I'm
not,
gonna call him
like,
that, but shit.
I don't know,
can't.
Ace Attorney moment, but like, yeah, and it's like, I know that it's like, oh, it's also supposed to be named after an Italian dessert or whatever, but it's
That's
like,
what I'm saying, but like his Japanese
they
name
have
is
named him
more
a different
close.
one.
His Japanese name is super more close to the actual dessert. It seems like they added an L just to make it a pun, and it's like, why
Ace
did they
Attorney
do that?
moment, yeah.
And then like just like how they're all installment for dessert. It's just like it reminds me of Dragon Ball Z. It's like silly a little bit. I don't mind Dragon Ball Z because I've been a Dragon Ball Z fan for years, but for Fire Emblem it feels a little bit silly. Also, the
Yeah.
Brodea people all being like rocks, and then all of
you
the
got the
Elusia
crystal
people,
gems over
the
there.
crystal gems.
Yeah, you got like the 4 ethnicities. You have plants, Italian food, rock, and French. Like, it's very jarring to see someone named fucking like, I don't know, like seeing someone named Hyacinth in the same game as someone just named like Jean.
Pretty much, and it was like super funny. Like I don't know, me and Liam, we just record our conversations. I feel like our reactions, we discover new things in Fire Emblem are super funny. I've never noticed that all of Sakura's retainers are named like after flowers. I know Hana means flower because I'm a little bit bilingual myself, but I didn't know that Tsubaki meant like Camilla basically, or Camille, whichever flower it was.
Chamomile.
And it's like, dude, dude, are we getting to
Yeah.
this level? Are we getting to this level?
I
Again.
guess it's like, I don't know. That's where you can get more intrigue. I guess that's why I'm like more intrigued in like Kagetsu and Zelkov as well. We didn't mention that in characters, but it's like, I don't know. I guess like they have a lot of different stuff going on. Like they have like it seems like they're both going to be like minorities too, because it's like they're like mentioned to like be speaking in a way that's not normal to like the area, and then also like they're like the 2 characters from what do you call it,
Elusia.
that's like Elusia that have like non-English plant names. It's like Zelkov is named after Zelkova, which is like a type of elm tree that like grows in like parts of like eastern Russia and then also Crete. And then Kagetsu, it's not like an actual flower, I believe, but his name like can be translated as moonflower or flower moon or something like that. So it's like, I don't know. Is a Fire Emblem game actually going to write good minority characters?
I think it's funny that you say that because Kagetsu and the one support we saw with him and Ivy, he's talking about fried chicken. Like he's a Japanese person all the way. So that's guaranteed. Like I don't know, freaking
really
warped
hope
in
that-
from Hoshido. I don't even know, dude. So
Oh my god. I guess, yeah, I don't know. Just talking about like how the game is very reminiscent of old games and how it seems like it's very much in like the marketing aspect as opposed to like the legacy game aspect. It makes me wonder for like the kind of direction that the series is going in, and like when people talk about this, it's like, well, obviously the next game is going to be nothing like this one, and it's like,
okay, sorry, we have to take a little bit of a break, but we're back talking about the direction of the series and where we think it could go from Engage. And one thing I wanted to say about this is I feel like people are being super disingenuous when they're saying that, oh, after Engage, the next Fire Emblem game is going to be way different from this Fire Emblem game because, oh, look at Face, there's nothing like 3 houses, and look at 3 houses, there's nothing like Engage, and all this baloney. But it's like, if you really get down to the meat of it, you can definitely tell certain trends that are going to influence the future of the series from this game. Like, for instance, if we go all the way back to Awakening, if you guys remember, it had a My Unit. And every game after Awakening, except for Echoes, because it was a remake, it had a My Unit. So, you can decipher trends. Same thing with the quote-unquote anime bullshit from Awakening. It's been there pretty much ever since Awakening, and it's in full force and Engage, so you can definitely tell where a series is trying to go after a long trend that is continued over multiple entries. So you can definitely find some type of trajectory. What do you think?
Yeah, and I feel like, especially with just like the anime bullshit or whatever, like it's also like you have to look at how people are saying there's not going to be romance in this game because there's no S supports. It's still like waifuism. You can still take your waifu emblem. You can still take your favorite character out on a little tea date. You're still gonna have parrot endings with them. Yeah, and
pretty much. The social sim aspect has really been there since Fates, and it never really left except for Echoes because, again, remake, so yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Another trend, pretty much.
Definitely. And again, with the disingenuousness, just people, I don't know, pinning it on like, oh, guys, don't worry, the art won't look like this next game, or, oh, don't worry, the rings gimmick won't be here the next game. Like, that's kind of the least of our worries.
Yeah,
almost.
Seriously, no shit.
No shit, yeah. Like, I don't know, the biggest gimmicks of most games aren't there except for like the big fundamental stuff, like, oh, if you want to call, like, I don't know, a non-linear story a gimmick, then I guess that kept going. But yeah. And it's like, I don't know. I think with just the trajectory of it, kind of like trying to market to a broader and broader audience, right? This is like a lot more, like, you've seen a lot of the marketing for this game that's specifically pointed towards people who haven't played Fire Emblem before. Like, you see a lot of,
even though it's a legacy game, which is very interesting. So
yeah, it's trying to be awakening too, which is funny. But it's just like, when it comes to, like, I don't know, like more boiled down plots and like trying to be more what do you call it, not even accessible, just like more marketable and everything, with every entry, it does like remind me of like how other series have gotten, where it's just like they prioritize the I don't know, ease of gameplay over the storytelling.
Yeah, I did want to kind of touch on that, the accessibility and stuff, because I do think that's also kind of a part of it. So basically, the way I see Fire Emblem, at least for me, I feel like Fire Emblem is pretty much the only franchise that's still like ongoing that's like Fire Emblem. There's not really any alternatives that will give you the same feeling as Fire Emblem. So I feel like Intelligent Systems has a sort of monopoly over their audience, so it can definitely feel like kind of like you're quote unquote forced to play the next game just because you want to play something that's like a strategy RPG that like makes you think and it challenges you. Like, it used to do that in some of the games or whatever, and it feels like the more we're going in this certain direction, it feels like that part of Fire Emblem Identity is slowly fading away in favor of accessibility and appealing to the casual audience. My kind of example for this is definitely what we're talking about with like the Divine Pulse and the EXP retaining. While that's like nice to have, it's definitely weird that our experience, that the thing that we want out of Fire Emblem, is going away because Fire Emblem wants to go towards more casual audience. And it definitely would alienate me if Fire Emblem stopped being challenging. That's like the only reason like I really play these games most of the time, so I want to challenge, and it kind of lets me down when nothing is really memorable about the maps and things like that. It does in particular remind me of the Sonic fandom, because you have all the groups of people in the Sonic fandom who want different things out of Sonic, because Sonic has really changed his formula so many times. And I think the adventure fans in particular are a really good example of this, because they fell in love with a formula from 2001 pretty much, and it was literally the only place where you could have a platformer that focused on speed and momentum-based physics. And it actually required like a thought. It had a high skill ceiling in terms of like getting the S ranks and stuff. And eventually it really shifted away from that type of gameplay style to appeal, even the story as well. The story elements as well definitely shifted in order to appeal to a more casual audience who more so doesn't really care about the characters, but they just want to like laugh maybe. I don't really know what the fuck they're doing with the writing of forces and shit, but I assume it's to appeal to a more casual audience, and I think Fire Emblem is going that direction as well. Has the same stuff, making the games like way easier so that it appeals to more people, making the story like so much more goofy because I guess that appeals to a wider audience. I would think like wider audiences like good stories, but maybe they don't. It's definitely to appeal to a wider audience, so it's stuff like that makes me think like, where is the series going from here? And that's the things that are like really important to me, more so than the art style, is these main core elements that I like from this franchise. I can definitely see them waning a bit, and they have been waning for years. The strategic element of it and the story element. I know Fire Emblem is a meme like, oh, Fire Emblem games never have good stories and stuff, but they were definitely more tolerable than some of the stuff that's been coming out after the last so-and-so years, where people are just like, oh, this arc is garbage, this part is garbage of the story, this part makes no sense. Like, you heard about Awakening, Fates, Three Houses, and Engage is definitely gonna have it as well. So it's like, I feel like it's a lot. It was not much of a problem with the older games. I'll be honest, with the story being so divisive, if I'm being honest. But
yeah, and I don't know. I think when we're talking about like appealing to a wider audience, it should be like stated that it's like probably not the same audience, right? I feel like it definitely is like marketing to the audience of people who are like, I don't know, not to sound derogatory or anything, but like Genshin Impact fans.
Cool Genshin fans.
Like, yeah, like the kinds of people who are like very into anime and stuff, but not like hardcore gamers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, that's why we get like these archetypes coming in that are like very anime, and why stuff is like, I don't know, even I like the vibrant look and everything, but it's very clear that it's like got a huge departure from like the target audience of the older games from like DS and before.
For sure. And it's weird saying this because it's like, you know, my first Fire Emblem game was Awakening. Like, that was my first one. But even I feel a little bit alienated because it's even going kind of far from Awakening, if I'm being honest. Like, I feel like Awakening was so much more... Like, I'm saying the anime stuff started with Awakening, but it wasn't as present and in your face Awakening for sure. So it's like, even I feel a little bit alienated. I'm not even like the biggest fan of Awakening, but basically what got me interested in the series is like, I don't see that much of it in Engage, even though I like some of the new stuff Engage offers. It definitely feels like I'm being alienated a little bit, and I'm sure other people also kind of feel that way.
Definitely. And like, I don't know, I also started in that era, and it's like, I don't know, I feel like something that I'm worried about and just like hoping, I forget if I mentioned this before, is just like how much they're going to take from the success of this game and how much they're going to take from the success of Three Houses. Because I assume this game was in planning and development before Three Houses released or anything, and was like seen as like this huge success and everything. So I'm hoping that means that they're going to understand that they should still like have like a focus on stories and on deeper characters, and like, I don't know, just like take the best from both games going forward, as opposed to just continue to lean into the whole aspect of trying to hook more people who aren't like super into video games, because that's what a lot of particularly the Switch is, right? It's like Nintendo's best selling console in like a long time, and like it's bringing a bunch of new people in because it's got like, I don't know, it's both a family console and a like handheld console, so it's like wide appeal, right? That's the whole marketing standpoint of the Switch, I feel.
No, definitely agree there. It definitely makes sense that this kind of game came out on the Switch, just because it's like such a big player base, big install base rather. So it makes sense why they would definitely take it in this direction. But yeah.
Yeah, I guess just I don't know. My big hopes is that they kind of learn from both this game and Three Houses and like kind of fuse the formulas a bit and like refine them as opposed to just like, oh, Engage sold more, let's lean really hard into that one. And I'm hoping when the Genealogy remake comes out, which I assume is the next game, that they like that is successful. They don't pull in Echoes and only make like how many copies and like doom it to fail. I'm hoping they actually take that game seriously and it does well so that they can realize like, okay,
so what so like what particular from Three Houses are you hoping to see return? Like, because we have been shitting on it the whole time, so I guess it would be interesting to like say like, oh, what do you want to see like come back?
Yeah, it's like, I guess just trying to take its story seriously. I don't think Three Houses was the best at that, given how rushed 3 of the 4 routes are, and like how the entire plot hinges on like a lack of communication. But I feel like if they like kind of take that aspect of like trying to take their stories seriously again and trying to like have less gimmicky characters. There's still gimmick characters in Three Houses, but like it's not like to the same levels that like I'm assuming Engage will have.
I definitely agree with that. I definitely would like to see an emotional core that I can really rock with return to the series. Like I love Echo's story so much. I definitely feel like it was a very like emotional roller coaster. I definitely feel like sometimes with the My units, their emoting is a little bit off, so you kind of just don't care. So I would kind of like to see like more of something that I can like really get invested into, and like voice acting is on point. Story is something where something like, even if it's like something very typical, like I feel like Echo's story didn't do anything super crazy, but it definitely had like a lot of heart put into it. So you definitely felt for the characters and what they were going through, and they all like really like felt like super real, like just something that I can get behind. Like I feel like I haven't been able to get behind like the story of Fire Emblem games since Echoes, which wasn't that long ago, but it really was like pretty much like 5 years ago at this point. So I mean, hey,
it was
over over basically a little bit after Faye came out is when Echoes came out. So however old Faye is rough estimate of however old Echoes is, and that was like the last time I feel like Three Houses I really only gave a shit, like I said, like around when he met his end. That was the only part where I really cared, because I felt like they were trying to make you care. All the characters were like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, and saying things, and they had the music, it was raining, Bowles was frowning the whole time. I mean, it was pretty good. Like, it was pretty good. So I kind of hope that the series does something like that again, I guess. So we'll definitely see. I'm not completely pessimistic. It's just that I'm putting the possibility out there because I feel like a lot of people online are acting like, or just ignoring that this is a possibility for how things can shape out. Just completely in La La Land.
Copium.
Yeah, copium. Completely in La La Land. So I think that's mostly what I had to say. Do you have anything else before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I think I don't know. I'm excited for this game, but at the same time, I'm expecting for it to not be amazing. I'm excited for like every game I buy, but it's like, I don't know. I just hope that in the future, again, we can get something that is a high quality linear story with I don't know, good characters and this kind of like fun, very customizable gameplay.
Well, I think that was a very inspirational thing to end on. Brings a couple of tears to my eyes, honestly, Liam. So beautiful. Yeah, I think we're gonna go now, since those were our closing thoughts. I hope you enjoyed the first episode of the Crit or Miss podcast, the Comcast, if you will. So, see you later. Peace.
Bye-bye.
Subscribe, man!